I'm Dr. James Rippey. Thanks for joining me. For the next 20 minutes, we're going to find out how taking the right steps today can really help you take control of your diabetes. We'll hear from experts and people just like yourself who'll share some experiences. And we'll see some real-life dramatizations of people who were out of control and discover how they got back on the right road. The very first step in taking control is knowing your blood sugar number. 140 is the time to stop and take control. If it's above that before a meal, the American Diabetes Association recommends it's time to take action. Diabetes is not a dead end. It's a diagnosis that should make a person stop, look, listen, and act. You can't act if you don't monitor your blood sugar. Whether you're on pills or insulin, you can't manage if you don't measure. To be at your best, you've got to test. And that doesn't just mean at your doctor's office. You can do it at home or at work. With today's meters, it's easier than ever. Digital numbers make it easier to read. And with today's advanced technology, you hardly feel a thing. You can purchase a meter at your local pharmacy. Ask your doctor how often you should measure and which meter may be best for you. As a cardiologist, I've taken care of hundreds of people at various stages of their diabetes. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel like the farmer who tries to catch the horse by its tail after it's already out of the barn. I see a lot of people with diabetes too often after they have suffered some of the terrible complications of poorly managed diabetes. Heart disease, blindness, kidney failure, and some of the other serious consequences. The really sad part is, it doesn't have to be that way. Diabetes is not the end of anything. In fact, taking control now can be a new beginning for many. Early good control of diabetes can help lower the risk of suffering many of the complications that people with diabetes fear so much. Do you know what actor and country singer Mark Colley, football player Jay Lewinberg, and 16 million other people from all walks of life have in common? They all have diabetes, just like you. So if you have diabetes, you're not alone. You're joined by 8 million Americans who know they have diabetes. You can live a full life if you manage your diabetes rather than letting it manage you. Today there's so much good news about diabetes. Information that you can use to help put you in control, take away your fear, and make you more at ease. It's when your pre-meal blood sugar is consistently greater than 140 that you may be at increased risk for complications. In the short term, you may feel tired and lethargic or depressed. You may feel a constant thirst or experience circulation problems in your limbs. You may lose sleep due to frequent nighttime urination. Self-image may decline. You get grouchy. After a while, you stop doing the things that you love and blame it on your diabetes. I've seen it happen. Right now, I'd like you to meet Anne. Her story is based on an experience that many of my patients with diabetes could have had.
2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. I was 25 pounds overweight, and frankly, I was scared. Diabetes. My grandmother had it. I saw what it did to her. Well, my doctor said diet and exercise. I was doing okay for about 6 months. And then he noticed my numbers started getting too high and put me on pills. I started testing my blood sugar, and for several months, I had it under control. But then my blood sugar levels were measuring consistently above 140. Oh, way above. Well, I'm the conscientious type. I mean, I was taking my medicine, but I was up to 180 even though my pill dosage was increased to the limit. I was tired. Figured, hey, diabetes. Fatigue at work, irritable. What can I do? That's diabetes. Then I met Naomi, my new neighbor.
Who is it?
It's your new neighbor.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Naomi. I just moved in.
Oh.
Have you seen my cat?
Yes. Oh, it's your cat. I was wondering whose cat it was. Come on in.
Thank you. I've been looking for that cat.
She just moved in next door. Only her cat, Ferdinand, seemed to find another apartment to her liking. Mine. Well, I invited her to stay for a cup of coffee. Ferdinand was strictly a milk drinker. And before the coffee was finished, I got an invite.
Hey, listen, I've got an aerobics class at 6. Why don't you be my guest and join me?
Oh, Thanks, but I don't think so.
You look like you can handle it. Aerobics not for you?
No, I used to. It's just that, well, for the past several months, I really haven't felt up to it. Naomi, I'd really like to, but I have diabetes.
Diabetes?
I thought, oh no, what am I doing telling her about my diabetes problems? I didn't even know this woman.
Diabetes? Honey, that's no excuse. I've got diabetes. I've had it for 5 years.
Well, her response kind of shocked me. She looked good. What's more, she seemed so happy, alive. I thought our two diabetes must be different. They were. She was in control of hers.
180, 220. Honey, my blood sugar was once 220. Anne, what are you doing about it?
I'm taking pills 3 times a day.
And is it working?
Well, sometimes I'm 180, maybe 200, but not always.
Excuse me, but with those numbers, you're not only on the edge, you may be falling off. You know, maybe that's why you're not feeling up to doing much.
I'm not an invalid. I do take long walks when I feel up to it. What are you doing about it?
First of all, I know what it's like to be at those numbers. Been there, done that. No, thank you. I took pills for about 4 years, and they worked for a while. But my blood sugar was staying above 140. So I started taking insulin about 8 months ago.
Insulin? Oh, my grandmother took insulin, and I promised myself I would not stick myself with a needle. No way. I mean, I hate big needles.
So do I. Take a look at what I use. I use a pen that has a thin needle.
I learned about an insulin pen that makes it easier to dose, and you can hardly feel it. Well, I'll admit I was still scared when I went to my doctor, and he said the insulin word, but he said other words I wanted to hear: healthier, active, control. And I know what that may lead to: less complications. It's been 5 months. I feel like I used to feel years ago, alive. I've got more energy. I like myself better. I don't worry about the future because I take care of myself in the present. Oh, and Naomi, I did start going to class with her. She's a terrific instructor.
Being diagnosed with diabetes doesn't mean that you go sit in the corner and put your life on hold. Maybe 50 years ago people did that. Taking insulin is no longer a therapy of last resort. For many, it's the answer to keep their blood sugar below 140. And keeping your blood sugar in good control may be the beginning of a more energetic, more vital life. The modern treatment of diabetes rests on 3 legs. 1 is good nutrition. 2 is regular physical activity. And 3, if necessary, is correct medication. What holds it all together? Good control is what holds it together. If your blood sugar is consistently above this number, you may be at increased risk for complications. Complications that may be avoided. But to be at your best, you've got to test.
Diabetes is a unique disease because it gives patients the power to make an enormous difference in what will happen to them tomorrow by actions that they take today. For some people, diet and exercise therapy are enough. Some can manage their diabetes on pills, while others require insulin. Whatever your diabetes therapy is, it's only as good as your glucose control. And that starts by maintaining pre-meal levels that are less than 140. And to know that number, you've got to measure. If you don't measure, you can't manage your diabetes. Now, insulin therapy does not come without risks. You need to keep in mind that the potential side effects associated with the use of all insulins includes low blood sugar, weight gain, low blood potassium, thickening of skin at the site of injection, and allergic reactions, both general as well as local. So talk to your doctor. See what therapy is best for you.
Well, I had all the classic symptoms of diabetes and didn't have a clue of what any of them were. I had rapid weight loss, thirsty, blurred vision. They checked my blood and immediately told me it was diabetes. And so they put me in the hospital. Actually, my blood sugars were up about 600. They quickly got me under control with insulin medication. The nurse dietitian that originally had told me that there's nothing wrong with taking insulin, your body's not producing it. Then the next day I met with an endocrinologist who got me real excited. He was very positive, did away with all the fears that I had, told me we'd get this under control. Sent me in with the nurse, and when she started talking about taking insulin and a needle, I kind of panicked at first. As soon as I did it, I said, "You got to be kidding." I had no idea it'd be that easy. And the doctor explained to me that exercise, especially aerobic activity, was best. And so I got into a running routine, and I try to run 1 to 2 miles a day. Well, I was fortunate to have been nominated by a friend to be one of the torch runners for the Atlanta Olympics. When you're able to run 4 miles when you're 52 years old and feel good about it, I think that's what life is about.
Quick, which one of these represents insulin therapy today? When you think about getting a shot, you probably think of a needle like this. It makes you cringe, right? I call it the syringe cringe. But developments like this make insulin therapy easier than ever. If you can hardly see it, it's not your vision. It's very thin and resembles a tiny pin. But the most important reason for taking the diabetes therapy recommended by your doctor is to avoid the complications that cardiologists such as myself end up seeing years later. By managing your diabetes aggressively now, you can feel more vital and live a more healthy, energetic life. In this next situation, Richard, 48 years old, is a sergeant on a local police force. He feels the way that many people do with diabetes, at least those who are ignoring their number.
Hey, Richard, looks like you gained a few pounds, buddy.
A little bit.
Otherwise, I'd give you a ride home.
I'll give you a ride home.
If I was still walking the beat, I would have retired years ago. But at 48, well, I felt it was time.
Richard loves his work. As a child, he couldn't wait to grow up and become a policeman. And he's been so proud since his first day on the force. He always said he couldn't imagine doing any other job. That's how much he loved it. So when he said he wanted to retire early, I knew something was wrong. Especially when he took me out to dinner on a Tuesday night. Not like Richard. But he wasn't like himself over the last several months. Something was definitely missing in our lives. Richard wasn't the talkative type, but his actions spoke for him. His nutritional choices could have been a lot better. He had symptoms he wasn't listening to, like blurry vision, frequent urination, especially at night. He was always thirsty. His diabetes was clearly out of control. And lately he seemed like he was depressed, fatigued, like life wasn't interesting. Well, at least he had a job he liked, or so I thought.
Marilena, I have something important to tell you.
¿Qué cosa? I was thinking, please don't say another woman. Please, don't say it's another woman.
No, mi amor, no. Nothing like that. I've decided to retire. I don't have it anymore. Know what it takes to be a good cop. The diabetes is getting to me.
Now I was really upset. Diabetes was taking him away from the job he loved.
I've been taking all those pills that doctor says I have to take. Marilena got angry and said I wasn't retiring. I was just quitting because of diabetes. And having diabetes for 5 years was no excuse. The only thing to blame was how I was handling my diabetes. From the foods I ate to the exercise I didn't do. She got plenty mad. But most especially, how I was handling my medication. Actually, how I wasn't handling it. I didn't think she was being totally fair, because I was taking 2 different oral medicines. The doctor wouldn't give me any more.
Richard didn't test his blood sugar enough. You know why? Because he didn't like the numbers he was seeing. 170, 190, 220. So he stopped looking at them.
I was on 2 different oral medications. I took them each several times a day for many months. I never missed more than a day of work here and there. I explained to her that over time, that's just what diabetes does to you. She didn't sit still for that one.
Richard, that's what you do to you. Over time, that's what not controlling your blood sugar does to you. He promised to see the doctor before he decided on anything.
I promise I'll go to the doctor before I decide on retiring. The doctor told me I have bad news and good news. The bad news is, even though I was taking my pills, I was neglecting my blood sugar numbers. The good news was he thought I could change all that. He asked me to try another combination type treatment for a few months. Now I take insulin at bedtime and a pill during the day. A pill that can be taken with insulin. I was happy to give it a try, but not happier than Marilena.
Once he made the decision and realized it was up to him, well, that was like a new beginning. These last few months, oh, I've noticed a difference. Now he's eating better, he tests his blood sugar regularly, he's exercising, taking better care of himself. Now every day he walks to work.
Hey, rookie, pick up the pace.
Okay, Sarge.
And about that retirement,
19 years on the force. You got a lot of juice left, Sarge.
we're going to talk about that in about 10 years.
Talk to your doctor about insulin therapy or the treatment that's right for you. It's not surprising that people feel much better once they get their blood sugar under control.
The eye doctor examined me. He said, "There is something wrong with your eyes. Do you have diabetes in the family?" I said, "Yes, I do. My grandfather had diabetes." So I said, "Go today and have a blood sugar test." And after the doctor got the report, I got a phone call from the doctor, and I had to go in immediately. And when the nurse asked me, "Do you want me to give you your first insulin shot?" I said, "No way. This is my life. It's the start of my life. From this day forward, I'll do it all." And with all the advanced improvements on the needles being shorter, thinner, finer, you really do not feel. It's not like one of the great big long injections the doctor comes out at you with. Before insulin, my life was very chaotic. The activity level after insulin has been tremendous. As long as I take care of my diabetes, I feel like my diabetes is taking care of me. I quilt, I porcelain paint, I do ceramics, knitting, crocheting. I have 6 grandchildren. Sometimes they have trouble keeping up with grandma.
Ready for some more facts? A clinical study has shown that the long-term control of blood sugar can decrease the incidence of eye disease up to 69% and decrease the incidence of kidney disease up to 70%. Those numbers mean that your future can be brighter than ever. But remember the take action level. Say it with me, 140. Whether you take pills or insulin, the only way to know where you are is to test on a regular basis. This next situation demonstrates how diabetes not only affects you, but can affect the whole team.
I love playing with the Ravens. Last year we actually made the playoffs. We were awesome, even though we came second in the division. And boy, we practiced a lot just to get there. My dad's our coach. He took us from last place to almost the title.
When they concentrate on the fundamentals, these kids can really be good. But I have a feeling it's not that way when I'm not around.
Hey, Gary, where's your dad? He said I'll play third today. I'm tired of outfield. Nothing really happens there. He got stuck at work. He's real busy. He said it was some kind of an emergency. He said he was sorry. Again? Sorry. I hated telling the guys that. I hated when Mom told me Dad couldn't make it. It wasn't like Dad to cancel practices, and sometimes when he was able to make it, he'd go practice off early.
A team needs guidance. They need a coach they can count on. And that's the kind of coach I want to be.
Dad loved coaching, or at least he used to. I know one thing, we're not going to get any better with me coaching. What's worse is sometimes I'd come home after practice and find out Dad really wasn't at work. He was at home resting.
I've had diabetes for 7 years. I check my blood sugar every couple of weeks. Sometimes it's better than others. I try to regulate it with diabetes pills I'm taking.
I know Gary takes his pills. He's up to 2 kinds 3 times a day. He's at the maximum dosage. Only it doesn't seem to be doing enough. And Gary's not doing enough. He's totally out of control. And I'm angry because he's stubborn. He's not admitting the way he's feeling. His difficulty sleeping, getting up at night several times to go to the bathroom, are all related to his diabetes.
I get a little exercise coaching the Ravens, my son's Little League team. They came in second last year. This year, well, it's not the same. I'm feeling more run down. My son thinks something's wrong. My wife knows it.
Diabetes is keeping his dad from being with him and enjoying activities together. It took a serious episode at work to wake him up.
I didn't even know Gary had diabetes. Never talked about it. Then one day out of nowhere, I see he doesn't look too good. He was really weak, looked awful, and started shivering. We didn't know what to do, so we rushed him to his doctor.
It was quite a wake-up call. My doctor took my daily blood sugar level, which that day was around 280. He also took something called the HbA1c, a test that's an average measure of your blood sugar over a 3-month period. He said the American Diabetes Association recommends, I wrote it down, and it's in my pocket. Here it is. The American Diabetes Association recommends 140 as the pre-meal blood sugar take action level, and 8 is the HbA1c take action level. Mine was at 12. He said the pills weren't doing it anymore. It was time to take action, or my complications could get more serious.
The doctor said Gary wasn't just managing his diabetes badly, he was out of control and had better do something fast. This time, Gary was all ears.
When he said insulin, I said, I don't want to go through the experience I just had. And I had 2 more real good reasons to take control. Gary Jr. and my Nancy. They suffered with my diabetes enough. So I said, give me that big needle. The doctor laughed and showed me there's no big needle. It was so thin.
The Ravens were rocking. We were 7-1, and you know what? It would be great to win the division. But I feel I've won something special already. Dad was back.
Gary wasn't just managing the team well, he was finally managing his diabetes.
Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you.
To me, that's the real victory.
New technologies and discoveries have made insulin therapy easier and more convenient than ever. It's a whole new ball game.
Before I went on insulin, I was on the pill, and I tried, with the help of the doctors, obviously, to control what was going on. Like many people, I assume we tried the pill. It just didn't work. When I went on the insulin, things changed immediately for me. My numbers became manageable. I really enjoy getting out, working around the yard, puttering and cutting and planting. I play golf also. I've had the opportunity to be a delegate to the White House Conference on Tourism. No doubt about it, being on the insulin has really made a great deal of difference in where my blood sugar numbers are. It beats the heck out of what the alternative is, and the alternative is not knowing what's going on and shortening of your life.
You know who's really in charge of your diabetes? It's not me, it's not another family member, it's you. Ultimately, you're in charge. The more aware you are of what you can do, the more successful your therapy will be. Your doctor can prescribe the right therapy, but every day you'll be making decisions that keep you in control of your diabetes or put you at risk for being out of control. I know this very well because I am not only an endocrinologist, I am also a person with diabetes.
Together, you and your doctor are partners in your care. Don't forget that. And as a partner, you have the right to ask questions. With this video, you've received a patient checklist. Take it with you to your doctor to discuss your treatment. It has important questions that you can ask your doctor about your diabetes. You have the right to get the best treatment for you, and that's the one that gives you good glycemic control. It's the one that gives you a pre-meal blood sugar that's not consistently above 140, and a hemoglobin A1C that isn't above 8. If you're beyond those numbers, You need a more appropriate treatment to get you in control and keep you in control. And for many, this kind of good control is achieved through insulin. Insulin doesn't mean that your diabetes is getting worse. It's a way for you to get better, much better. Whatever treatment you're taking, it's important that you know your numbers, 140 and 8. And the only way to know what your number is on a daily basis is to test your blood sugar. Included with this video is a coupon that you can take to your local pharmacy for a free blood glucose meter with rebate and trade-in. Know your number, and together, let's do a number on diabetes. Intensive insulin therapy should be implemented cautiously with regard to age, capabilities, coexisting diseases, a history of severe hypoglycemia, or unawareness of hypoglycemia.